Wilson. I'm the marketing director of Super-Sod. You've just heard from Scott. He's the store manager here at the Lawrenceville, Georgia store. You also heard from Pamela earlier. She is customer support for the Atlanta, North Georgia area. Today, I'm going to talk about one of my favorite things, which is weeds. And I have a weed right here. This is February's weed of the month. I picked it this morning. It was frozen when I picked it because it was 26 degrees out. This is Stellaria Media, also called common chickweed or starweed. It's called common chickweed. The hint is there in the name, common, because it's common. It's everywhere right now. You'll probably see it in your yard just like I had it in mine. So Stellaria Media, Stellaria means star in Latin, and media means middle or in the middle. So the name Stellaria part comes from the flower. It's the flower shape. The flower is super tiny. It's about the size of a pencil tip, and that's even an exaggeration. It's smaller than that. Interestingly, Stellaria is in the carnation family. So you can picture a big bouquet of carnations like you'll see this Valentine's Day. This is a carnation, but it is nothing like a bouquet flower. You can see here, this is one plant. It came from one center taproot, or a massive taproots. The stems are super clingy. They cling onto everything. They kind of get really tangled. They get tangled in the mulch. They'll also get tangled on themselves. We have a picture. It's basically a casebook picture I took from my garden. Actually, it's this very plant. I pulled it up later. It shows the center point and how the branches radiate from that all around it in a perfect circle. However, when it's growing close with other chickweeds, it forms a gigantic mat. It's like a gigantic colony. So these stems, they lay flat. They go along the ground, but if there's something for them to climb up, they will start climbing up it a little bit, like a shrub or other nearby plants, and it radiates about 1.5 feet, and the same thing, it will start kind of twining up a shrub 1.5 feet tall as well. It's really easy to get out. If you are pulling it out of a shrub and it tangles up and some stays in the shrub, don't worry about it. Just leave it there. It will disappear in a matter of weeks. It will just rot away. So it's very easy to dig up, but you will leave some roots in the ground, and that's okay. Just get out kind of the center mass of roots and let the rest of the roots just stay in there and decompose. So this is common chickweed, and another ID feature is its leaves, which are now kind of mutilated by traveling around in a bucket for several hours, but the leaves are arranged opposite to each other along the stem, and they have no hairs. They're what is called smooth. It has a look-alike chickweed called mouse ear chickweed, and the leaves on that are super fuzzy, and they have the similar habit where they grow from one point and radiate all around, but those fuzzy leaves will really give it away. Also, it is an entirely different species. It's related, but it is a different species. Some other ID features we talked about, so we covered the smooth leaves, we covered the tiny flowers, and the seeds are next. The seed capsule is green. It's really inconspicuous. You won't see it. But that seed capsule will open up and scatter up to 2,500 seeds per parent plant, per mother plant. That's a whole lot of seeds. You won't even see this happening because it's very inconspicuous. But those seeds have the potential to remain in the soil up to 40 years. So if you're seeing this plant out of the blue, it was likely in your soil already. I'll back it up a minute. Chickweed loves human activity. It goes where humans go. So it loves disturbed soils, like where we build our houses, where we build our sidewalks, where we lay new sod. It will show up on the margins of the sod. Where we dig holes for fence posts, it will take root there. Where we create new beds for flowers and vegetables, it will show up there. recently I had it show up where I didn't have it before at all in the garden. I had a flower bed and my lawn, and I had a lot of water coming through there. So I dug a trench between the sod and the flower bed for the downspout, just to funnel right through there. Well, chickweed popped up all along that trench and in that flower bed where I had scooped up the soil and then basically turned it upside down on the bed there. Where did it come from? So we just determined that it could be in the soil for 40 years, those seeds. So when I scooped up the soil, seeds that were buried and did not see daylight were now exposed to light. And not only does water cause seeds to germinate, but for many, many seeds, especially weeds, light initiates germination. So it's a combination of water and light. Secondly, they might have come from birds. Birds love chickweed seed, and they'll eat it and distribute it widely. So chickweed's this weed, but it's really not all bad, is it? Chickweed, interestingly enough, is also food. I have tried it because I got curious about it, and I kind of got a kick out of eating a weed. And all the recipes I saw were for fresh, so I incorporated some into salads. I tried it on sandwiches, and I liked it. It was a little bit bland. It was fresh tasting though, and what I read, it is full of nutrition. And also, interestingly, it is used as an animal food. Like my sister feeds it as snacks to her rabbits. It's not to be used as a main food, but more as a supplement or a snack or a treat. I do read other livestock will eat it, and there's no harm in it, but please do double check that yourself. Also, poultry love it. We just talked about birds loving it, and poultry is a bird, and then there again, in the name, common chickweed is your hint. Chicks love it. Chicks love the seeds, is from what I understand. So you have this weed that's shown up out of the blue. It loves living around you and all your activities in the garden. What do you do about it? If you're not going to eat it, if you're not going to feed it to your animals, how do you get rid of it? Well, we talked about hand weeding quite a lot already today. You can hand weed it. All this plant, it just had this one center root system. Like I talked about, we left the rest in the soil, but you can kind of just, as you go along, roll it up into a big mass as you're incorporating everything around it, and you'll have this big, I'm sorry, Scott, I'm getting your lawn dirty.
That's okay, we've got Pre-Emergent.
Okay. You can roll it up into a big mass and just scoop it up and put it on your compost pile. It is full of water and it will decompose very quickly. So if you're not going to eat it, if you're not going to feed it, if you're not going to hand weed it, you can spray herbicide. It is very susceptible to herbicide and will be readily killed off that way. We sell herbicides that will treat it, Quinsep, and what's the other one?
3-Way Max.
3-Way Max. All Super-Sod stores will have that in stock. You can call ahead and order it, and we showed you the curbside pickup, and we can have it ready and waiting for you. The fourth way is Pre-Emergent, and we have talked even more about Pre-Emergent today than about hand weeding. However, the hint is in the name as well. This weed has already emerged, is growing everywhere. You see it everywhere now. Pre-Emergent will not treat it. So what do? Fast forward, project yourself into time, into September, when the second window for Pre-Emergent opens. We'll send out emails as well. We'll send out an email alert, and if you subscribe to Lawn Coach, we'll just send you your Pre-Emergent when it's time. So September Pre-Emergent is the ground is then ready for winter weeds to start germinating. Winter weeds like chickweed, like Poa annua, which was our January weed of the month, and several other weeds will feature a new one next month, so stay tuned for that. But Pre-Emergent in September is going to be the easiest way to take care of a chickweed infestation.